Okay, everybody, we're going to talk about how fun each of the 5 classes were in Diablo 4. Now, as each of you know, I reached level 20 in every class during the beta. During the last beta, I played every class to level 20. In the previous beta, I played Druid and Barbarian to level 25. Now, just to be clear, this will likely mean very little. In my last video, I said this at the beginning too. Then you all ignored me and insulted me and said I was a terrible player and said that how could you possibly rate stuff based on level 20 and blah, 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 blah. Well, once again, even though you guys will ignore it and then insult me until you try to make me feel bad, yeah, for the long run, this won't matter because we're only at level 20 of however much levels there are. However, I did put the time in to level each class to level 20, and there's some things about each class that you basically know because you already know the abilities each class has. I don't think that new abilities will be showing up. They could, but we don't know. We know most of the champion masteries or class masters, what we do. We don't know Druid. We don't know Barbarians, more masterful stuff. And we do know generally how each class is going to play. During the first beta, I saw a lot more of the uniques. During the second beta, the unique drop rate was reduced considerably. I don't really have an opinion on whether or not that was a good thing. I think it was probably a good thing, but that's not what this video is about. So with the editing magic, I will edit this video together, hopefully in a good, fun to watch way. So how am I going to rank all of the 5 classes? Well, I'm just going to talk about them a little bit, and then I'll just put up a little thing here, and we'll talk about, how good each of them are. So tier S, A, B, C, D. S would be, this is probably the most fun thing ever. D would be, I would probably not even recommend this class to anyone. If I had somebody I hated, I would still probably not recommend this class. So unless I hate a class or I just fell in love with a class, they won't be an S or a D. I just put that here because a lot of people use S to, typically a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll just use S to mean like, this is the best. The best, in my opinion, will always be A. That's the best. S means it goes above and beyond the best. The worst would actually be F, but I don't have an F tier here, so we're using D. D would be the absolute worst possible. C would be, yeah, it's not really that fun. So, without further ado, Barbarian. I'm going to put Barbarian firmly in B. Why am I putting Barbarian in B? Because there are some things about Barbarian that we don't know yet. We don't know their weapon mastery, but most of their skills are fine. There is some issues. I think the primary issue is that of their left clicks, they have 4, is it 4? They have a bunch of left clicks. One of them does a lunging attack. One of them does a bash with your hammer. One of them you two-handed swing. And one of them you bleed, and then that's for the bleed and tank. The problem of that is you might have noticed a flaw here. The only skill that you can use with two-handed weapons that isn't stun-based is the bleed or the lunging strike. Even though 3 of them can be with two-handed, they're all so specialized that the only generic one is the lunging strike. I hate the animation. I hate it so much. It looks so dumb. So if I'm trying to do a two-handed axe, I basically need to go into a bleed build. If I have a two-handed axe and I want to do a whirlwind build, I still basically need to go into a bleed build. You can do lunge axe, but it kind of looks dumb. Then the talents for whirlwind, also, if you're using a axe, the talents can make it a bleed build. In other words, they're heavily incentivizing you, if you want to use a two-handed axe, to go into a bleed build. I don't really want to do a bleed build. I want to do Giga Strikes with a two-handed axe. The Giga Strikes are mostly for the two-handed maul, the big hammer, and that's fine in my opinion. I think that's fine. It gives, there is a difference. Axe is more for bleeding, maul is more for big single hits, right? But the problem then starts to fall into the issue that you might be noticing that then if you do two-handed axe, you're kind of doing a janky tank build with it. That's not really the most fun. I don't enjoy the janky tank bleed builds. They are fun for a little bit, and I think they're fine. They're just not what I find fun. Now, I did play Barbarian in the first beta and then in the second, obviously, so I have a little bit of experience on, is the Barbarian fun? And I would say, yeah, he's not really that fun, but I think the weapon mastery unlock, I'm giving them the benefit of a doubt on this one. That's kind of what I'm doing. I think the champion, or the class, is not really constructed the best. I think they should definitely get a rework to kind of open up their build options so they can do more things. Whirlwind, I did not really find fun to use at all. They did a bit of a rework where it drains more fury, so it ends quicker. You whirlwind and it does more damage, but it drains your fury quicker. You can't infinite whirlwind. I approve of that change 100%. It makes whirlwind way more fun to use. However, the animation was really lame, and I was not enjoying it whatsoever. I probably won't have enough editing magic to show you guys all the different builds as I talk about them. That would probably take like 7 hours to do, because I would need to go through like 30 hours of footage to find each specific thing. So whatever I decide to put on screen, it's represent, like, that's kind of what you're getting with Barbarian, right? So it's a big dude. He's got two-handed weapons, a two-handed mace, a two-handed axe. You're a big weapon Conan style barbarian, right? You're a big dude. This isn't your Diablo 2 barbarian. This isn't even your Diablo 3 barbarian. You're not like muscular man with axe. You're like the Giga Warrior, okay? You run around with 4 different weapons. You can swap between them. You have different builds for that. You are the alpha warrior. I'm going to call it that. Not like, you know, alpha male kind of way, but like alpha warrior. Like, you are the highest end warrior, so to speak. And that is fun. I do like what they did with that. And so that's why I'm putting him at B. I'm giving him the benefit of a doubt right now, because I think realistically I'd put him at C tier, but I'm giving them the benefit of a doubt that the unique class skills and things like that will make the class more fun. Now, as a final addendum here, I do have one last complaint. The problem is that what weapons you find tends to obviously be random, because it's random what weapons you find, right? Now, the problem here is, of course, that if I'm trying to do a two-handed maul build and all I find are good axes, well, then I kind of just need to remake my build into an axe build to continue to level. What that means is if I'm doing, say, a necromancer, I don't find a shadow magic weapon and a blood magic weapon and a minion buff weapon. I just find a weapon, and then I use that weapon for my various builds. Do you understand that? So with Barbarian, though, you find weapons for your specific builds. This actually, in my opinion, makes the class less fun, because I can't like give the game like a little cookie or something. I can't like be like, hey man, I'm trying to do a two-handed axe build. Could you just try to give me something here? And because of that, you can often find yourself, as I did, having to swap your build away from what you wanted to do into what the game is giving you. To give another example, as a sorceress, you aren't finding a frost damage weapon, a fire damage weapon. You aren't finding any of that. You're just finding a weapon. And then you can use that weapon for your fire build, for your frost build, for your any build, your lightning build, your close range lightning, your long range lightning. Any build you want. For your Hydra build, your weapon will do. But that's just not how Barbarian works. And that, again, plays against them. So realistically, I'm going to be blunt. I should probably put Barbarian in C tier. But I'm going to stick to my guns and say he's probably B tier if they have the weapon masters. We didn't see all of the class. Okay. Druid, I'm actually going to put Druid in A tier. I loved Druid. I love Druid so much. The werewolf Druid was exactly what I wanted. It was exactly what I wanted. For those of you who, like me, you're thinking werewolf. What are you thinking when you think werewolf? Are you thinking high attack speed, lots of damage, lots of healing? Then that's what the werewolf does. High attack speed, lots of damage, lots of healing. Is he the tankiest dude ever? No, but he does so much attacks. Each attack might not do the most damage, but for example, your right click on other classes does a giga swing. Your right click on the werewolf does a charge, then a second quick attack, then a third heavy attack. So even your right click, you're not just doing one attack, you're doing 3 attacks. Your left click, your mega swipes, your low damage quick swipes, those do you can find. I found a unique for that actually increased their attack speed by a further 44%, and you're just going crazy on them, right? So the werewolf is about poisoning, often about poisoning. You don't need to do it, but you know, realistically, yeah, that's supposed to be. So you're kind of doing a half attack speed, half dot build with lots of healing. The healing is based on your health. It's percent health healing. So the tankier you build, the more healing you can do. So you could, you know, try to do like a tanky werewolf. Now, the werebear has some serious issues here. The werebear only does damage when you overpower. You only get 1 overpower every 12 seconds. An overpower attack is when it does damage based on how much you fortified and how much health you have. So the werebear can do every 12 seconds is giga freaking like super nuke that just obliterates everyone. But it's only every 12 seconds. And then you go back to tanking. Now, does that sound fun to you? Probably not. Like, I'm all for classes not having AoEs that can clear through rooms. I hate room clearing. That is something that, let me be clear on. If you're listening to this, I hate room clearing. I don't think room clearing is terrible, but you'll see this when I get to Sorcerers. If you click Fireball and it shoots a fireball, then the fireball explodes into fireballs, and the fireballs explode into more fireballs, and you've killed everyone in the room by clicking Fireball. That's dumb. That's lame. That's stupid. Okay? So the Druid class does typically stay away from that. You have to use more abilities. The Werewolf will attack very quickly, and it can kind of, chew through packs of enemies, but, you have to actually attack to get through the packs of enemies. Werewolf was extremely fun. Werebear, they're tanky. If you want to be really tanky, you go Werebear. If you want a slower playstyle, you go Werebear. But I find it to be too slow for my liking. As for the spellcasts, I'm gonna be blunt with you. The dude is a chunky dude. He's very much a strongman build. He looks like he weighs 300 pounds. Watching a 300-pound dude with these huge back muscles, like casting spells, was a bit weird. But you can cast spells. You can try to do a more melee spellcasting build. They're fine. They're not blowing my mind. They're fine. So why am I rating Druid at A? Because I can do whatever I want. This is my list. And I find Werewolf Druid to be so goddamn fun that I think it makes up for Werebear lacking and for the spellcasting kind of lacking. The spells aren't bad. I just found them lacking. Okay? That's the best way I have to put it. Necromancer, I'm also going to put into A tier. I found Necromancer to be so fun. There's something about the way they've done it. Now maybe I would get bored later on. Okay, maybe I would. I'll be lenient with you. But for now, managing the minions, having to resummon minions and keep your front line up, sending waves of skeletons into the enemy, dotting the enemies, sitting back at range, generating more corpses so you can continue to summon waves of skeletons. That to me is like chef's kiss. They have actually done something to make the D2 Necromancer way more modern. It remains to be seen how much tankier they'll make the skeletons. I could potentially put Necromancer down to B tier if they make them too tanky. I know some people will call me a heretic for this one, but actually having to resummon your skeletons and keep your front line up and constantly re-attacking the enemy was really fun. Summoning skeletons, they run in. You summon skeletons, they run in. You dot. You summon skeletons, they run in. That was really fun to me. And I enjoyed that. If they make them too tanky and it kind of just reverts back to like D2 Necromancer being the AFK class, where you just summon a bunch of minions and you run up and they kill everything for you as you're checking your phone like, oh, good job, minions. Like, that's going to be boring. But for now, I found Necromancer extremely fun. For Rogue, I'm going to put Rogue into potentially S. Rogue was very odd to me because when I went into this game, particularly because I had just played Sorceress, my idea was that they were just making everything boring room clearing, and I wasn't really on board with that. When I played Sorceress, well, you'll see, but when I played Rogue, I had so much fun. Maybe I should put Rogue at A tier, but I found Rogue to be so goddamn fun. It was amazing. It was a bit, I could feel that if I had to play it for 8 to 10 hours a day, it would maybe be a bit overwhelming. But when you play melee Rogue, which is what I did, you have twisting blades, and they go twisting. You hit an enemy, and then the blades come back to you, right? And they hit everything between you and the blades. So that means you stab an enemy, starve an enemy, then you use Shadow Step to teleport to the other side of the pack. The blades come back through. When they come back through, they reduce your cooldowns. Your left click gives you more energy generation. Your energy gives you more twisting blades. So then you stab, then you teleport to the other side. The blades come back to you. Stab, teleport to the other side. The blades come back to you. And this sounds dumb, but it's so active and fun, particularly because the blades will reduce the cooldown on your other abilities, which can include your smoke bomb, which then blinds enemies. So you're squishy, but now you can blind enemies. Well, I mean, it's not called blind, but effectively that's what it does, so they don't attack you. So even though you're not clearing out an entire pack of enemy, you can, choose, okay, this guy will hurt me, let's blind him, and then you go to the other side, okay, this guy could hurt me, you blind him. And it's just a very active, fun playstyle. I think a lot of people would enjoy Melee Rogue. Just me in particular, when people were watching me play it, I know a lot of people were looking at that like, oh, that's interesting. Because it's got, if you're fighting a boss, you can Shadow Step behind their big attacks to avoid it. You can do a lot of things with this class. And there's a lot of abilities and things, and it could be interesting. Now, on the other hand, it might not be for you. For me, I think it would be S tier, but I also, again, think if you played for 10 hours and you were having to do all these abilities and you're having to click all this stuff and do all this stuff, it might get a little bit old eventually, and you might want to revert back to a class who can just, that pack of enemies is dead. That pack of enemies is dead, right? Like, I'm just saying, eventually in a game like this, it might get old having to do so much work. But again, the work, A, looks cool, B, is cool, and is really fun. So this I think this would be about fair. Rogue and S, A would be Druid and Necromancer, Barbarian would be B. I think for my enjoyment of the game, that's what it was. Now, based on how many people enjoyed Sorceress, I'm going to give you my controversial opinion. Sorceress I'm putting straight up in D tier, because I did not enjoy Sorceress at all. I was legitimately considering dropping the game when I was playing Sorceress. It was so unbelievably unfun. The mana system means that you have generally one ability that you max out, be it Fireball, be it Meteor, and you try to max out that ability and then you use it a bunch and it kills all the enemies. For Fireball, if you kill an enemy with Fireball, it does another Fireball. So you kill an enemy with a Fireball, it drops a Fireball, which hits another enemy, they die, drops a Fireball, and you shoot one Fireball and it blows up all the enemies. And oh, cool, interesting, and it feels so boring. It's so dull. It's so tedious. I hated it so much. I was very much at my limit. The second I got Sorceress to level 20, I was done. I didn't want to clear one extra mob. I was done. It was so boring. I was so bored. In addition to that, the second problem with Sorceress is a problem that the Barbarian had a little bit. The animations are terrible. The visuals are terrible. It legitimately looks like they ported this from a phone game. I don't mean that to be insulting. I mean that as a matter of fact. It actually looked like they ported this in from a phone game. All her animations are terrible. Everything she does looks stupid. So on top of not really having much, if you go Frost, you can do some combos with Frost, right? And there is some interesting stuff with Lightning. So Fire is definitely your I'm gonna call it the dumbass build. But I found Frost to be a bit, I want to say tedious. I don't know how to describe it. I found that to be a bit tedious. I found Lightning, you could pick up like little lightning orbs that would shock nearby enemies. So you'd want to go pick them up to do more damage. But the thing is, they automatically shock nearby enemies and they went away so quickly that like there was, I don't know really how to describe this for you guys who haven't played the class, but I was so unfun. It was like my brain was melting while I was playing this class. I was just not enjoying myself whatsoever. So that's how I'd rate the 5 classes. If you disagree with me, feel free to share it below. Do you like Path of Exile? Do you like clearing your entire room with your little build that you've min-maxed so then you can't have any fun in the game because you've min-maxed your build and now you just poof and everyone's dead? I don't enjoy that. I hate that, in fact. I have literally no fun with that. But unfortunately, that seems to be largely that seems to be what the Sorceress is. Barbarian, I'm giving the benefit of a doubt. Reasonably, Barbarian should be in C tier. There's just something about that class that the second time around, I was just not having any fun. I was just not enjoying. I found every build you could do unfun. I found everything you could do unfun. Necromancer and Druid, I was having tons of fun with. Both those were great. Rogue, I was ready to potentially, the two that I was ready to go again on were Necromancer and Rogue. Druid, I felt like really it was only Werewolf that I had fun with, but I had so much fun with Werewolf that I have to put him at A tier. Necromancer and Rogue, I was honestly ready to go again. I was like, okay, fuck it, let's level this up again with a different build because I actually think the other builds could be even more fun. But right at the end, I did do a range build with Rogue, and there's some interesting stuff in there too. So, yeah, this is my tier list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you hate me because I hate the Sorceress? Well, make sure to leave me a message there because any engagement is good engagement. So thank you all for listening to this, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.